Good morning, it's Thursday. So we're going to do our next lesson. And this is about the new Wounded Knee Massacre. And it's kind of quite a sad, depressing kind of affair. But really, this is the kind of end of the American Indians as we would know it. And we're coming very, very close to the end of our unit. So let's sort of kick off. So I've been thinking of ways in which we could sort of carry on our competition. So let's just start this one off straight away. So true or false? Do ostriches, I think that's the plural for ostrich, bury their head in the sand? True or false? If you swallow chewing gum, it will take 7 years to digest. Number 3, airplanes dump their waste mid-flight. So when you flush that toilet on the airplane, it goes a bit crazy. They just go straight out of the aircraft. Number 4, you can see the Great Wall of China from space. Number 5 is a bit of a strange one. After you die, your nails and hair grow. Is that true? For a few days. So I'll give you the answers on our next lesson on those things. But the thing about that is, the reason I'm telling you that is, as a species, as humans, there's lots of things that we kind of want to believe in, things that we don't want to believe in. So, for example, with the coronavirus at the moment, some people believe, if you look on Twitter or whatever, or social media, will say the reason why coronavirus is here is because it gives nature a chance to take back the world, because humans aren't going around flying around climate change and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's absolute nonsense. Do ostriches bury their heads in the sand? Well, we will find out. So what we're going to look at, the Wounded Knee Massacre, was about, I'll just flick the slide, hold on, about something called the ghost dance movement. Now, in 1890, as we looked at after the Battle of Little Bighorn, the majority of American Indians were on reservations, and I think partly because of the Battle of Little Bighorn, they'd reduced the rations, the food they were giving to the Sioux. This was coupled with a really bad drought in the summer of 1890, and basically the crops that the Sioux were beginning to farm failed. So it was a pretty grim situation. So what happened was, this American Indian called Wavoka claimed that he had a vision that somehow, if Plains Indians started the dance, they painted themselves white, that the buffalo would come back, the land would flood, the whites would disappear, etc., etc., and basically life would return to normal. Now, this is quite a common belief amongst oppressed people. It's not the first time this has happened on our planet. However, obviously, that didn't happen. It's not true. But if you're desperate, if you're really, really desperate, then really you would believe anything, to change something. And they were absolutely desperate. So this spread rapidly through the reservations. And what happened was, the president, who at the time was President Harrison, ordered the army to take control of the reservations, because obviously this chanting, jumping up and down in the middle of the night, going on for days, the US Army became quite agitated and thought that somehow the American Indians were trying to fight back and rebel against them. How can I remember all this stuff is really, really difficult. So I said from yesterday, they're the exam questions. We will be doing some kind of mock-based exam question going forward. So as I said in the lesson, it's a bit like Lord of the Rings. It's like 2,000 pages, but it's about summarising it. What do we really need to know? And also, it's really important that we use the linking words, so therefore, thus, in order to, as a consequence, etc. And if we can try and use process words, so within your story about the Wounded Knee. So, for example, on your first box of your storyboard, you could say conditions on the reservation worsened because of the drought, etc., etc. So try and use the process words on the kind of, I don't know what they're called, post-it notes, and the linking words are in the kind of circles that are kind of linked together, obviously. So the task I want you to do today is as similar to what we did yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, whenever you listen to this, is to create a storyboard in preparation for us to do our narrative account question. So let me just explain the story again. So box 1, basically drought, reduced rations. Box 2, Wovoka comes in, talks about the ghost dance, the whites will disappear, blah de blah de blah. Box 3, the president sends in the US Army because they were concerned that they were trying to rebel. Now what happened next on box 4 was basically Sitting Bull and Sitting Bull's followers, I should say, joined a band of another chief called Bigfoot, and the US Army caught hold of them and they took them to a little creek, like a little stream I think we'd call it, called Wounded Knee. Now apparently what happened was a deaf Sioux Indian was told to hand over his rifle to a US soldier, and while they were kind of struggling over the rifle, the trigger was pressed, the gun went off, and basically the US Army went totally ballistic and they opened fire with artillery. It was a massacre, hundreds and hundreds of Indians were killed. And if you look at the photo on Saucy, all those US soldiers there were actually paid quite a lot of money to kind of for every Indian that they killed. So obviously the last few boxes are the bullet points on page 88. So what was the reaction to this? Well, the white people were really happy because it proved to them that actually the Indians couldn't be controlled and actually they should be killed. Lots of Americans in the East Coast felt it was revenge for what happened at Bighorn and Custer. And really this is the end point, the end of the American Indians, because from that point onwards they had no weapons, nothing, and they were kind of restricted onto the reservations as we would know today. So if you can just work through that, use the linking and process words. So I've gone through that quickly because I've got to go and do Joe Wicks now. So imagine me doing the bunny hops with my children. So have a nice day. Hope you do that. Any questions, email me as normal. Thank you.